Om Prapannaparijataya Totravetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Mritaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. We are in the fifth chapter, sloka number 8 and 9. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Naiva Kiñchit Karomiti Yukto Manyeta Tattvavit Pashyan Shrinvan Sprashan Jighran Ashnan Gachan Swapan Shwasan Pralapan Visrajan Gratnan Unmishan Nimishan Napi indriyāṇīndriyārtheṣu vartanta iti dhārayan. So Bhagavan, after saying that, after advising Arjuna to follow Karma Yoga, then declared that there is no big difference between a sannyasi and a karma yogi, given that both will not be affected by the results of the action. And in any case, taking the route of karma yoga would lead you to the ultimate result of moksha. And sannyasa is also for moksha. So in that sense, both lead to the same goal. Now in these two slokas, slokas 8 and 9, which we had seen up to sloka 8 in the last class, Bhagavan talks about a jnana karma sannyasi as to how he thinks he is performing his actions. In sloka number 7, Bhagavan had said that for a karma yogi, although he is acting, he is not affected. So here in this sloka, Bhagavan talks about how the jnana karma sannyasi looks upon himself when he does the actions. So in the previous sloka, a jnani, although he is affected, he is doing his actions, he does not seem to be affected by it. Here in this sloka, a jnani thinks he is not doing any action at all. So who is doing the actions? A jnani will clearly call that out in the second line of the 9th sloka. But within his mind, he is very clear that he is not the one who is performing the actions. And Bhagavan had given certain actions as an example. But in the first line of the 8th sloka, he said, Naiva Kiñchit Karomi iti manyate yukto tattvavit. Naiva Kiñchit Karomi iti. I do not do anything. Manyate is understood by the who? Yukto tattvavit. Tattvavit means who is ever established in jnana. Yuktaha means who is ever established. Tattvavit, who is ever established in jnana, who has understood this jnana. And what are the actions that Bhagavan gave as an example? Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jikran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shravan. Swapan, Shwasan. So these are the actions that are being performed by the body, by the Jnānīndriyās, by the Karmendriyās, by the Pancha Prana, by the mind, by the intellect. All this, even while these are being performed, the Jnāni is very clear in his mind that it is not me who is doing these things. Sprishan, we saw api pashyan. Pashyan means while seeing. Shrinvan, while hearing. Sprishan, while touching. Jihran, while smelling. Ashnan, while eating. Gachan, while moving. So Ashnan, Gachan are all karmendriyas. Even when these are performed, he is very clear. And then api swapan. Swapan means reclining, lying down. And then api shwasan. Shwasan means breathing, which is an action of the prana. Then too he is very clear that Naiva Kiñchit Karomi. I am not doing this. And then some more examples are given in the first line of the 9th shloka. Pralapan Visrajan Grihnan. Api Pralapan. Api Pralapan means even while talking. Even while he is talking, he is clear that I am not the person who is talking. This is the highest form of mauna. Right now what happens is, we talk because we feel compelled to talk. There is something that we want to share. Sometimes even unwanted gossips. And we have to put an effort to stop that. To put an effort to stop that and remain in mauna is a sadhana. But the highest form of sadhana is, once we get this jnana, whether the mouth may be talking or not, I have the clear understanding that I am not the one who is talking. That is the highest form of mauna. That is the highest form of sadhana. There is no more sadhana there. That is the highest form of mauna. Then api visrajan. Visrajan means while evacuating. Karmendriya vavahara. Then api grihnan. Grihnan means even when receiving or taking. Again it's a karmendriya. Using the hands. Unmission. Api unmission. Unmission means while opening the eye. While opening the eyelid. Api nimishan. Even when closing the eye. Even subtle, so-called subtle movements that the body performs or the prana performs are also understood by the jnani that these are not performed by him. See, this unmission, nimission, these two are said to be the actions of prana by the Shastras. So there is a Shakti or a power that is required for us to close the eyes. And there is a Shakti or a power that is needed to open the eyes. Some people, if they are finding it so difficult to sleep at night, they will say, I am finding it so difficult to close my eyes. I could not close my eyes. I am struggling to sleep. So the jnani knows that these are done by the prana. I am not the doer. Certain things which are supposed to be so-called, which we do not even recognize that these are actions done by performed by the body. These are all so-called, it's not even triggered. It is self. It is done by automatic. So these are done by the body, done by the senses, done by the prana, done by the mind, done by the intellect, but the jnani is clear. So what sort of knowledge does the jnani have? So even when these actions are taking place, he is very clear that these actions are not performed by him, but he is also clear about who is performing it. What is the hetu? What is the reason? He is very clear about it. And what does he say? Indriyāṇīndriyārtheṣu vartante iti dhārayan. Indriyāṇi means sense organs. So sense organs, here we should add karmendriyas, jnānendriyas, prana, body, mind, intellect, everything. Indriyāṇīndriyārtheṣu. Sense organs in sense objects. Vartante. They remain or they experience. So the sense organs remain in sense objects. Iti dhārayan. Thus bearing in mind. Dhārayan means bearing in mind, or thus thinking, or has the clarity. The jnani has the clarity that the sense or organs are experiencing the sense objects. So if we have to paraphrase the last line, we'll have to say, bearing in mind that the sense organs remain, or the sense organs experience, or the sense organs go towards the sense objects, the Jnani is clear that the Jnani is clear in his mind that I do not experience, I do not go towards anything, I am separate from them, I am the witness principle, I am akarta. That is how we have to understand the second line of the 9th sloka. So this is an important sloka. But after listening to this, that api pashyan shranvan sprishan jagran ashnan gachan swapan swasan, and then we say, okay, I am seeing all these things, but I am not the one who is doing it. We should not misuse this sloka. As in, we hear all unwanted things and we say that I am not the hearer. We speak all unwanted stuff, gossip, and then we say we are not the one, I am not the one who is speaking all these things. We say that should not be the attitude. That cannot work. Seeing all unwanted things and saying that I am not the one who is seeing this. How do we need to understand this sloka? So, let's take an example. Let's take anger. Someone gets really angry. What happens when the person gets angry? Immediately, that the first thing that gets affected is the person himself, the person herself or himself. Even before the anger can actually hit the other person in terms of its effects, the first effect is seen by the person himself or herself. That's why we say that anger is such that it creates problem in the person who has the anger before going towards the person on whom the anger is aimed at. So suppose this person gets angry, and we cannot use this to say, it is not I who got angry. It is my karmendriya or jnanendriya which has got angry, or my mind which had got angry. That cannot happen. That should not be the case. That cannot be the case. Because if we identify ourselves as the Sakshi Chaitanya, if we identify ourselves as Akarta, then there is no way that person will get anger. If a Jnani gets angry, it would be for a reason. Or it would be it is as if like playing with a child. Say for example, we also play with when we play with small children, and the child, say for example, falls down, and then we show to the child that the anger on the floor or on the table that hurt the child, and then we will say, I am angry with the table, I am angry with this floor. We know clearly after the episode that we did not get angry. We were just playing for the sake of the child. We were acting as if we were angry, but we were not trapped by anger. So in the same way, after every action, if we reflect and if we do not feel any guilt or hurt in any of those actions, then we can claim that we are the Sakshi Chaitanya. If we have this feeling of hurt or guilt, I got angry because that person hurt me. If I say that, or if I say I feel bad that I got angry, then it is clear that we have not identified ourselves as Sakshi Chaitanya. Instead, we have identified ourselves with that indriya or the sense organ or the prana or the body or the mind or the intellect, depending on the action or emotion that we have gone through. So we cannot misquote this sloka. If we do get affected by the action or the emotion, either in the feeling of a hurt or a guilt, then it means we have used the sense organ, prana, body, mind or intellect as an instrument. We have not used it as an instrument. But in the case if we have not hurt, then we can clearly say that we have used it as an instrument. We have been the witness principle. Having said that, remember these feelings of hurt or guilt, these feelings of hurt, some people may not have this feeling of hurt or guilt also. But this feeling of hurt or guilt will come after we enter Vedanta. For people who have not been in the Vedanta, not everybody, but until the time that we have not come to Vedanta, we would not even have felt that we have done something unwanted or something wrong. We wouldn't have any guilt feeling at all because we think this is normal. But after coming to Vedanta, because of our knowledge of Shastras, and Vedanta will help us to identify or make us aware of what is dharma, what is adharma, what is unwanted wrong actions. We get some clarity around it. Then we start getting this feeling of hurt or guilt. It's not hurt, but more of a guilt. So if we get this guilt slightly, it is good because that means we are progressing. And that is evident because we are aware also of what our instruments are doing. We say, oh, I shouldn't have got hurt, or I shouldn't have got a guilt feeling, I shouldn't have done that. Then what happens is immediately I am trying to rectify my instrument, my mind. If a person does not even bother about the wrongdoings that person commits, that means that person does not have the basic knowledge that is required for proper living also. And those persons will go down the ladder quickly. The spiritual ladder, they will be in a lift that can easily go down. Bhagavan had said that in the 16th chapter. If you remember, 16th chapter, Bhagavan had clearly called that out. So if a person does not even know that he is committed wrong, he is ignorant. If a person does know that he has committed wrong, then he has some knowledge. If a person does not commit any wrong at all, then he has, you can say, Jnāna-nishtha. So Bhagavan says that a person with Jnāna-nishtha, the highest state of knowledge, he does not perform any action and does not get affected by any action because he is the witness to the actions. He is not the performer. He is not the doer. He is akarta. So in the next sloka, Bhagavan is going to give where to start this. If someone has to reach this level, where to start this? Because Bhagavan had spoken from the highest state now. From a Jnāna-nishtha, he is very clear. Naiva Kiñchit Karomi. He is very clear. So, but this is the highest level. So Bhagavan wants to say, where do we start? So Bhagavan goes back to Karma Yoga now. He takes the bottommost step of Karma Yoga. So the next slokas, Bhagavan talks about Karma Yoga. Some of the very important slokas of Karma Yoga. We'll go to next sloka number 10. Brahmanyādhāya karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate na sapāpena padmapatramibhāmbasa. Brahmanyādhāya karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate na sapāpena padmapatramibhāmbasa. So as I said, Bhagavan is talking about Karma Yoga. Slokas 10, 11 and 12. This sloka, the next two slokas, they give the Karma Yoga Lakshana. Remember, we have seen about Karma Yoga in chapter 2 and chapter 3 already. But more than that, Bhagavan gives much better explanation of Karma Yoga here. In fact, if you are looking for clarity around Karma Yoga, then these three slokas are the most apt ones. So, this chapter is called Sannyasa Yoga, but Bhagavan is explaining Karma Yoga clearly in these slokas. Now the question is, why would Bhagavan bring up Karma Yoga here? After talking about Jnana, what has happened is Bhagavan has seen Arjuna's face, and Bhagavan could infer that Arjuna feels that these are way too much for him. That is, to think that I am not the one doing the action, even when the action is being performed. It's not easy. It is not easy to get to that state. So Bhagavan comes back to Arjuna's level and says, again Bhagavan reiterates where to start for Arjuna. And this is true for us too. It is important for us to know the final destination. We cannot say that I don't want to know about the Shastras, Vedanta, it's all very high level, it is not for me. The idea is to first know what is the final destination, what is the final goal that we have to reach. Then of course we should also know where we stand. And we know, and then we'll have to create a road map to see how we get there. And the first place for most of us to start with is Karma Yoga. So in the previous sloka, Bhagavan said, Naiva Kiñchit Karomi iti. That the person feels that he does not do anything. But what do we see in this world? We see a lot of people who always take pride in saying that I do this, I have done that, I did this, I did that. Even if somebody else says that I have done this, people around will be waiting to take some claim around it, to say that, look, only because of my insistence this person did this. Only because of my help that person was able to achieve it. People are ready to take ownership on all actions, even those actions that are not performed by this body. Of course, as long as it is supposedly successful. Some people will say, only because of me this person is going to class. This person is going to Gita class. This person has changed because of Vedanta, because of my insistence. So what about that person? What about that person himself? That person, what about you? No, I am not going to class these days. So the I feeling is so high in a lot of us. So Bhagavan says, for such people, they cannot come to Jnana Yoga now. They will have to start with Karma Yoga. Bhagavad Pada says, Shankara Bhagavad Pada says, whoever does not have this jnana, they do not have the right on sannyasa. In the sense, whoever does not have this jnana, they cannot afford to say, Aham Naiva Kiñchit Karomi iti. In other words, whoever does not have this jnana, whoever thinks that Aham Karomi iti bhavaha, they cannot renounce their actions. They cannot renounce their duties. Whoever thinks that I am the one who is doing action, you cannot renounce your duties. So, for whoever thinks that I am the one who is doing action, you have full right on the action, but no right on sannyasa. Remember, when we are saying sannyasa here, we are not talking about this ochre ropes. We are talking about jnana yoga, shastra vichara, so to speak, in terms of jnana. For jnana, if you want to give up the duties to actually get full time into jnana yoga, you don't have the right on it, because as long as you are having this feeling that I am the one who is doing these things. Bhagavan says, without chitta shuddhi, especially vairagya, only the words will go in, not the meaning of the words. And that is the biggest wonder. You remember in the second chapter, Bhagavan said, Ascharyavat paschete kaschidyenam, Ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanyaha, Ascharyavaschainam anyashrunoti, Shrutvaapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Some see this Atma as a wonder, some describe it as a wonder, some hear of the Atma as a wonder, while others, even when hearing, cannot understand it at all. So it is, for us to understand, we'll have to get Chitta Shuddhi. For us to get Chitta Shuddhi, we'll have to perform Karma Yoga. And the Pramata, the person who is seeking this knowledge, if the person has a Shuddhi, how much ever he listens to Shastra Pramana, it will not make any difference in the knowledge. It will not give him the benefit of knowledge. But of course, it will give some benefit in the form of Chitta Shuddhi itself. If we keep listening to this Shastras, Vedanta Vichara, it may not give us the benefit that it is supposed to give us, which is actually Jnana, but it will give us the Amantara Palam, which is Chitta Shuddhi. Of course, to actually make it faster, to reach the goal faster, we should adopt Karma Yoga. But without Chitta Shuddhi, Bhagavan says, if you don't have Chitta Shuddhi, please come to Karma Yoga. Please go to Karma Yoga. So Bhagavan will cover Karma Yoga in these 3 shlokas, and then again he will go back to Jnana. Remember, all these have been already sort of discussed by us in the earlier classes. All what Bhagavan has said or is going to say in these 3 shlokas. These are just a refresher for us, but Bhagavan says it with much more clarity for it. It gives us much more clarity. We'll go into the shloka. Brahmanyādhāya karmāni. Brahmani ādāya. Brahmani, here Brahmani means Saguna Brahman, meaning Ishvara. Brahmani ādāya. Ādāya means dedicating to. So Brahmani ādāya means dedicating to Ishvara or Ishvara Arpanam. Brahmani ādāya, what will have to be dedicated? Karmani, the actions, our actions, dedicating our actions to Ishvara. Then dedicating actions to Ishvara, then what we need to do? Sangam tyaktva. Tyaktva sangam. Tyaktva means renounce. Sangam means attachment. Renouncing attachment, without attachment. So dedicating our actions to Ishvara without any attachment. What attachment has to be renounced? Attachment to the karma pala. So dedicating the actions to Ishvara, renouncing the attachment on fruits of action. Karoti yaha. Brahmanyādhāya karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti yaha. Yaha karoti. He who acts or he which sadhaka acts. Remember, in the previous shloka, yaha referred to a Siddha Purusha, Jñāni. Here in this shloka, yaha refers to the sadhaka who is a karma yogi. So here Bhagavan says, how does the sadhaka perform actions? This sadhaka acts in the manner by dedicating the actions to Ishvara, renouncing the attachment on the results of the action. So one must get jnana and attain moksha, but we are not qualified for jnana. Therefore, if we have to remain, then we have to remain in karma. Now, if we remain in karma, it will bind us forever. Forever, further and more. We will get attached to this world. More and more, we will be going down spiritually by being in actions, by being in the midst of actions. So, how to remain in karma and yet not get bound by karma? Then we have to perform actions in this manner. What manner? Karmanyādāya sangam tyaktva. Dedicating our actions to Ishvara, not getting attached with the results of the action. And by doing that, what is the fruit? What is the benefit? What are the fruits? We will see that later. But when we say renouncing the results of the action, or renouncing the attachment to the results of the action, what do we mean by the results of action? It includes, when we say renouncing the results of the action, it includes the right that we get by performing our duties. Remember, we have discussed this earlier also. Everybody has got some duties which becomes another person's right. And there are certain relations where we do some duties, and then there are duties from the other side towards us. It could be in a husband-wife relationship, parent-children relationship, teacher-student relationship, employer-employee relationship. There are duties both ways. And the duties of one become the rights of the other. Now here, when Bhagavan says renouncing the results, their attachment on the results, the result include the rights that we receive as a result of performing our duties. So when I perform a duty, there is a result. The result is somebody else, the other person will have to perform their duty towards me, which happens to be my right. Now Bhagavan says, renounce that right also. This is a very important but difficult thing to do. But this is the essence of Karma Yoga. Renounce my right. That this person has to do this for me. My parent has to do this for me. My children will have to do this for me. My spouse will have to do this for me. My employer has to do this for me. As long as this expectation is there, we will not be able to let go of raga dvesha. Hence, we will have to renounce. Why do we have to renounce? To let go of raga dvesha. Does that mean that I will not accept anything that comes to me as my right? No. It does not mean that. Let us not misunderstand that. It is not, when we say renounce, it doesn't mean that you are doing your duty towards me. I don't want you to do my duty. That is not what Bhagavan says. Bhagavan says, do not have this expectation that they will have to do this for you. So this is important. So this is with regards to the duties, renouncing the results of our actions. What about kamya karma? What about those actions that we do which are triggered by our desires? That we have to take the results as Ishvara Prasada. Because there is no duty, written duty on those actions that are done that are triggered by our desires. What we have to have, how do we understand not getting attached to the results of the action? By taking all the results of that kamya karma as Ishvara Prasada. So this is what we have to understand. Brahmani adaya sangam tyaktva karmani. Brahmani adaya. What do we mean by dedicating actions to Ishvara? It means that the duties that I am performing towards the other persons, whether be it my spouse, my parents, my children, do not think that you are doing it for them. Dedicate them to Ishvara. So these, you take it in your mind as if Ishvara has prescribed these actions. He has prescribed me these actions. He has asked me, he has commanded me to do these actions. I take them as his command. I will just do it properly. It is not for the other person I am doing this. It is because Ishvara has asked me to do this. Ishvara has put me in this place so that I can perform these actions. So I will perform these actions. And when can we do that without fail? How can I make sure that I perform these duties or actions properly? Only if I have an attachment towards the person who commands me to do this. Only if I have that love towards that person, I will do it willingly. In fact, if I love the person, it does not matter whether I like the action or not, I will still do that action. Isn't it? If we love the person, we will do that action, irrespective of whether we like the action or not. So when we say we are dedicating this action to Ishvara, it means that we are doing it for Ishvara. Ishvara expects me to do these actions or duties. I need to have this love towards Ishvara. That is where Ishtadevata comes into play. If we have an Ishtadevata, it becomes easy. Then I do it for my Ishtadevata. My Ishtadevata is my love. I do it for my Ishtadevata. I want to satisfy or obey my the Ishvara's command. Because why? I want the other person to be happy with me. That's why I am doing these actions. So I want Ishvara to be happy with me. So this is Karma Yoga Lakshana. Brahmani adaya sangam tyaktva karmani. This is Karma Yoga. Now the benefit, I told the benefit will come later. The benefit is given in the second line. By doing this, what happens? Lipyate nasa papena. Saha naha lipyate. Saha naha lipyate means he is not affected. He is not affected by what? By papam. He will not get papam. Such a person will not get any sin. How come? How come when he is doing action, he will not get affected by it? What is the example? What is the analogy here? Bhagavan himself gives the analogy here. He says, Padma patra iva ambasa. Iva padma patram. Just as the lotus leaf, Padma patra means lotus leaf. Ambasa. Ambasa means water, not wet by water. Just as the lotus leaf is not wet by water, in the same way, this sadhanas, the sadhaka, for the sadhaka, though he is being in the midst of action, though he is performing these actions, he will not get affected by the results of the action. He will not get any sin. Sahana lipyate papam. Remember, any other leaf will get wet by water. In the same way, any other action not done with this attitude will get samsara. Even though it may be dhanam, it may be a so-called punya karma. Even if you do that, you will get affected by it. Only when it is performed by this attitude, one will not get samsara. So here Bhagavan compares this papa to water and the jivatma to the leaf. So just like this, water does not affect the leaf, the papa does not affect the jivatma. The leaf jivatma does not get attached or does not get wet because of the water papa. Why? Because of the action being performed with the attitude of Karma Yoga. So normally any karma will give us, any karma, every action of ours will produce a result, papa or punya, both drishta, adrishta. We have seen this before. the adrishta being papa or punya. But only for two persons, karma will not produce papa or punya. Who are those two persons? One is Jnana Nishta Mukta. For a Jivan Mukta, there is no papa or punya for him. Those actions will go down as burnt seed. Those actions, results will go down as burnt seed. We had seen this before in Sloka. The second is for a karma yogi, for a mumukshu. Actions do not give papa or punya, but actions do give something else, and that is chitta shuddhi, mental purity. For a kamya karmi, action will result in papa or punya. So actions can either give us papa or punya, actions can give us or chitta shuddhi, or actions can give us nothing. It depends on who the karta is. The same action, it depends on who the karta is and what is his attitude. This is the subtleness of action that we have to recognize, remember, and be aware of at all times. So in this sloka, Bhagavan says, he who acts dedicating the actions to Ishvara, renouncing the attachment on the results of the action, he is not affected by papam, just as the lotus leaf is not wet by water. So this is the one sloka. Two other slokas Bhagavan is giving two more lakshanas of karma yoga. Next sloka, sloka number 11. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalair indriyair api yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva mashuddhaye. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalair indriyair api yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva mashuddhaye. So here Bhagavan explains karma yoga again. Remember, how does our action take place? First, the mind takes a sankalpa. The mind creates a desire or brings in a thought to say, we can do this or not. Even for getting up from the chair, first the desire comes in the mind that I can get up, or I need to get up, I want to get up. Then only the action happens. It is not involuntary. Most of the actions, that unmission, nimission only, that is probably involuntary. The one we saw in the sloka number 9. The closing of eyelids and the opening of the eyelids. Probably that is only involuntary. But even for that you need prana sakti. But most of our actions are all deliberate. There is a desire that is created, the desire results in the action. We don't even see that happening because it all happens in matter of milliseconds. And we are not aware of it because we are not keeping our mind on it. So first, the mind takes a sankalpa that creates a desire. Then the intellect has to decide whether to do or not to do. Then the body acts based on this decision. The early morning, the intellect says we have to wake up early. The mind says no. So the body goes with the mind. So that we are able to see the deliberate action, but that is not only for that. Every action, there are these three things that are functioning. So before the body acts, two things have already happened. One, the mind has taken a sankalpa and the intellect has decided. So intellect has got a nishchayartha buddhi. So intellect has made a decision, nishchayam, and before that the mind has made a sankalpa. So sankalpa, nishchaya, then karma. In this, for the sankalpa and the decision, if you look at it, the incitement, how do we get this desire in the first place? That happens because of our likes and dislikes. The likes and dislikes are the ones that help in creating this sankalpa. These thoughts in the mind, where every thought in our mind that we get when we are not in the midst of that particular moment of action, and yet these thoughts come through in our mind, that is because of our likes and dislikes. So the likes and dislikes are the ones that create this thought. For example, attending this class. First of all, we should have a liking for this, and therefore the mind says, okay, go and attend. The intellect says, okay, let me attend today, or the intellect says, not today, or the mind says, not today. The intellect says, go and attend the class. The mind says, no, not today. Then we decide to attend the class. So the raga dvesha, that incites the sankalpa. So the raga dvesha, for example, today I've got a better, I want to do something which I like more than the class. I'm meeting a friend, or I need to go for a lunch. So, or I need to meet somebody in the evening. Then of course that likes decide on the sankalpa. So the raga dvesha incites the sankalpa. It thereby actually influencing the nishchaya and karya. Another thing to note is that in all these three, there is this mamatvam, this ownership is deeply ingrained. We always just, I have this thought, I have decided, I have done that work. There is always this, I have decided, I want to do this, I like to do this, I have done this. That I is there, deeply ingrained. So in every action, if you look at it, our likes and dislikes and our mamakaram, the ownership, they have a great deal to play in all our actions. All our actions, likes and dislikes and mamakaram. So here Bhagavan says karma yoga is about doing actions without likes and dislikes and without mamakaram. He wants to take those two things out of the equation. He says you take those two things out of the equation, you are there doing karma yoga. So karma yoga lakshana is for the actions that come out of our body, but not out of our likes and dislikes. And they come out of our body, but it is not with this mamatvam that I have done this. So we'll go into the sloka. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalair indriyair api. Kayena means with the physical body. Manasa with the mind. Buddhya with the intellect. Kayena manasa buddhya with the body, mind and intellect. Kevalaihi, we will come to that kevalaihi later. Api indriyaihi. So with the body, mind, intellect and sense organs. Indriya means the pancha jnanendriya, pancha karmendriyas. So with the body, with the mind, with the intellect, with the sense organs, yoginaha karma kurvanti. Next line. Yoginaha karma kurvanti. Yoginaha means karma yogis. Kurvanti karma. They perform action. Karma yogis perform action. So karma yogis perform action with the body, with their mind, with the intellect and with the sense organs. So what, everybody does these actions only. So what is so special about karma yogis? That is where the kevalaihi comes into play. Kevalaihi in Sanskritam means, kevalam means that alone. Eva, kevalam, that alone. Now this kevalam has to be included before every word. kevalena kayena, kevalena manasa, kevalena buddhya, kevalehi indriyaihi, kevalaya buddhya. So it means kevalena kayena means with the body alone, with just the body. Kevalena manasa, with the mind alone, with just the mind. Kevalaya buddhya, with the intellect. Kevalaihi indriyaihi, with just the sense organs. So karma yogis perform the action with just the body, with just the mind, just the intellect, just the sense organs. Here kevalaihi means without any mamakaram, without any ragadvesham. So karma yogis, instead of thinking that I am doing this, will recognize it is just the body performing action. It is just the mind performing action. It is just the intellect that is performing the action. It is just the sense organs that are performing this action. The actions will be without the influence of ragadvesha and without the feeling of this possessiveness. So those actions are karma yoga. Remember, he is still a karma yogi, so he is not a jnani. So there could be some bit of ahankara in his mind. Ahankara means there is a feeling of I, a little bit of I in these actions, but without the feeling of mamakara, that it is all done by me. Is me, that feeling mine will not come into play. The results of the actions belong to my, that will not come to me, that will not come to this person. Sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Tyaktva sangam. Tyaktva sangam means, again, renouncing attachment. Tyaktva sangam, we saw that in the previous sloka also. Tyaktva sangam means without attachment on the results of the action. So the karma yogis will not have any anxiety on the results of the action. They will not have this feeling that whether it will be a success, failure, whether that other person will like me or not like me, why did the other person behave in this manner with me, not behave in this manner with me, why did they not talk to me, why did they talk to me like this, why did they not talk to me, why did they, all this anxiety will not be there. Karma yogis perform action with the body, with just the mind, just the intellect, and just the sense organs, without attachment on the results of the action. So this is the karma yoga lakshana according to the sloka. Actions performed without getting influenced by the likes and dislikes, without having this feeling of mamakara, and without having an attachment on the results of the action. So without having an attachment on the results of the action means what? Suppose we do our duty, the recipient of that action should get the benefit from our action, right? So I do an action and I expect the results out of that action. Say another person has to benefit out of my action. Suppose it does not get the expected result. The action has not resulted in success. We should not get, suppose it has not got successful, supposedly, then we should not get any anxiety or attachment. For example, as parents, we have duties towards our children. We do our duties with our children. The children do not do well in their life. We cannot take the results, we cannot get attached to the results. If they do not do well, then we cannot blame ourselves for not, being good enough to influence the results. As long as we have done the duty as karma yoga. In the same way, if the children do really well, we should not take credit for it. Oh, it is my son. It is my daughter who had done it. And I have done it in this way. I have made sure that they are able to excel in whatever they do. So neither take any guilt feeling nor take any pride. That is means not getting affected by the results of the action. For karmis, they are always interested. They always want the expected results from their action. But for karma yogis, they are not worried about the results. They do not have this anxiety. They do not have any attachment on the results. Sangam tyaktva. Then finally Bhagavan gives an important point in this shloka. Because we may have a question, why to do all these difficult things? Not to bring in my likes and dislikes, not to have this mamakara. Why can't I do things that I like to do? Why should I actually keep my likes and dislikes aside? Why so much trouble? Why so much of sacrifice? What for is this karma yoga? Bhagavan says, Atma Shuddhaye in the shloka. Clearly he claims why karma yoga should be done. For the sake of mental purity. We have always been saying in chapter 2, 3 and all, we have been saying karma yoga gives mental purity. Now, where it is given in Bhagavad Gita, this shloka, Bhagavan has not used this word even in the 3rd chapter. Here he brings it up, Atma Shuddhaye. Bhagavan says, perform karma yoga for your mental purity. So to purify ourselves, we will have to have live a lifestyle practicing karma yoga. Suppose someone says, I do not want mental purity. I am used to living with the dirty things around me. I can live with a dirty mind also. What happens then? We will see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.